Welcome back, everyone. I'm Richard Polskamp, joined by LS and special guest Phoenix One's top laner Zig. Needs to bring a bit more firepower in the top lane here, as it is our first day doing top lane streams here. And Zig is here to provide more insight as we fix the camera squarely on the player many consider to be the best in the world, and that's Rox Tiger's top laner Smeb. And we're just going to take a look at some of the things that just Smeb does. So what's your just general opinion on Smeb? LS, do you want to start us off?
I think that Smeb is a fantastic player in every single aspect. He's considered by many, as you mentioned, to be the best player here at this tournament, and the meta is just perfect for him and Peanut, which generally a lot of people know they have a lot of synergy together. So I'm expecting big things today, and seeing this replay, that was Smeb having a beautiful ultimate.
And Zig as well, like, what have you seen from him so far this tournament? We just saw him just destroy everyone as cannon.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been like 2 days, and he's been like a highlight reel player already. Like, he's already had that cannon play, and I mean, all of his Rumble play seems really good. Well, I guess he's only had 2 games cannon and Rumble, and he just looks super clean on both those champions. So,
do you agree with the statement that he is the best player in the world, or at the very least the best top laner here at Worlds?
Yeah. I mean, it's only been 2 games, so yeah. I guess I don't want to read too much into it, but he's been playing really well, and I think the carry top meta, yeah, like as Ella said, is really good for him too, because he can have a lot more control over the outcome of games with damage dealers.
Exactly. And that's a really interesting point, talking about the meta, as we're only in our second top lane stream here. What have you made of the top lane meta so far? Because we've seen Rumble like massive in priority. We've seen Jace as well go into the top lane. LS, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that we're seeing a lot of double AP team compositions, which is pretty interesting because I think that does open up the possibility for some champions to come back, most notably Maokai, as an answer to that, even though he has some unfavorable matchups that do currently exist. But I'm very surprised by the amount of double AP when champions like Jace do exist, Kled, Aurelia is a viable pick, Echo, Hybrid, and I'm hoping that as the tournament progresses, we do see more of those type of champions.
Zig, do you think it's going to stagnate here as the picks that we've seen so far are going to continue through the tournament, or we're going to see more as the tournament continues?
I think it just seems like teams are valuing like really stable laners, like the Jace, Rumble, Kennen. All of them like seem blindable into each other, and most of them just like pick up a resist item early on, so they really want to stabilize lane and just like stay in lane and not lose their tower, not die, or like not get pushed out as long as they can. So yeah, I think Jace, Rumble, Kennen are like definitely staples right now. Past that, yeah, like the Gnar from last patch hasn't really changed that much too, so he's really stable, seeing a lot of bans and picks also. But yeah, I think it's just like being able to farm in almost any matchup is really valuable. So like having like the Gnar Q or the Kennen Q or like Jace Q as well, like everything, just like you can kind of like, if the jungler's on your side of the map, you have to be able to pull your lane and play a little safer. So yeah, just stability in laning seems like a really big like pattern, I guess, of the top meta picks.
Exactly. Where do you actually see the role of the top laners? Is it just purely on the stability and just trying to go even in lane, or do you think there's room to really try and knock down that first tower, or is it more about just trying to get to that mid game?
I think that right now it really depends on what team we're watching. A lot of teams have much more priority up there in the top lane, especially with that first blood to tower gold being added and the way that the meta is right now. So depending on how good your top laner is and what kind of champions he does play, obviously some champions raise towers faster than others. I think that you have to view it as a case-by-case basis.
Mm-hmm. And in this case, Zig, how would you categorize Smeb as a top laner?
He's definitely a carry top laner. Like, he probably wants to have more control over the game, like the outcome of the game, and like his TP is the most impactful type thing. Like, yeah, like as Alex said, it really depends on your top laner. Like, because Mouse like plays more tanky style, like Poppy line stuff. And
yeah, we saw the Aurelia earlier today where he just kind of got given kills, but outside of that, yeah, more about those tanks. We're into Champions tonight, ladies and gentlemen, CLG and Rox, and we have that Rumble ban immediately as a top lane ban. Olaf more as the flex, but more towards that jungle role. Yeah. We're waiting for the rest of the bans here.
I'm actually interested to see the Olaf ban, especially because the Tigers actually dissected it, or, well, they played really well against it yesterday, despite it getting a very big advantage. And I don't know if they're giving CLG credit to pilot it better, but I don't see how it necessarily deserves a ban. I want to see the Tigers ban out Aurelion Sol.
We'll see if
Well,
that's the
enabled
case.
today, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yep, it is. At the start of the day, it was re-enabled, and in the very first game, we didn't even see it. Syndra, Elise will be banned away. Kennen, of course, aimed at Smeb. We saw that terrifying performance from him earlier. And Nami will round out the bans here.
Yep. And this may actually be the Tigers saying, you know, we have counter pick in mid lane, so you can have Aurelion because we've played against the best Aurelion, which is Fly. So that might actually just be their thought process.
First pick of that Nidalee there as well. Where are we expecting the top lane picks? Are there any blind pickable champions in terms of top laners right now, Zig?
I think Jay's priority is just a little higher here now because, yeah, we were talking like Jace, Rumble, Kennen as like the staples and Rumble, Kennen both banned. I think CLG likes picking like Poppy into Jace, so if they do let it through, like, and let Rocks play the Jace, then they'll just play Poppy into it. But other than that, I think it's just like Gnar is left, and yeah, just Gnar and Jace, I think. Maybe Poppy, Trundle, that type of thing.
Might be the case here. Karma and Ezreal picked up first for Rock, setting up for that one. That will be the flex pick, of course, of the Karma, but we'll see if that goes into support. And we are going to wait for the next two picks from CLG as well. So we'll see if we do get that top laner or it will go elsewhere. LS, what are you expecting from this next rotation from CLG?
I would like to honestly just see CLG match ADC support. I don't think they have to really give too much away. Alternatively, you could just go support top laner. Both of those don't necessarily reveal the entire component of your team composition, but we see that they do go AD carry support, and there's that Caitlyn pick to react to the Ezreal. And Kuro and Peanut instantly respond with Malzahar Rek'Sai, so...
So actually seeing the top laners go very late on into the draft here, what do you think the reason is for that, as if you could speculate? Because you said the Jace priority is very high, Zig.
Yeah, well, Jace like literally made it through some drafts too, completely unpicked, so I think it's a team-by-team thing. I think Darshan actually has been practicing Jace. Like, I followed his Korean solo queue bootcamp account, so I think it's definitely in his pool, but yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be Jace versus Poppy, but if I'm reading this right, and I guess maybe Smeb will play the Poppy side.
Yep, it does definitely look like a very standard situation for Jace. I would actually expect Smeb to play the Jace. I don't think that... Korea doesn't really put a lot of value onto Poppy.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like Darshan might be the one to
just
select
blind
that.
Poppy here.
Yeah, and there's Aurelion. So this is... Now, it's really important to note, you know, everyone knows that there are hard counters that exist in the game. And generally in competitive play, hard counters are not as impactful as they are in solo queue. However, this one still is. This is the hardest counter lane matchup, Aurelion Sol versus Malzahar, that I think exists in the game. So Rock's Tigers are almost effectively playing 4 versus 5 for the first 15 minutes.
So we actually have the Gnar pickup here, coming in for the top lane now for Darshan instead of the Jace or the Poppy. That could just be, for example, as you mentioned, like a team-to-team thing.
Yep. I'm going to be wrong here. You ready?
I think Poppy's good into like Alistar and Nid, but I think it's awful into Gnar. Like maybe it's stable enough that you could farm, but you're never going to win the split push war because Gnar just kites you after Mallet. And like tanks just generally don't do well after Gnar has Cleaver Mallet, so okay.
Wow. And he does lock it in, so
lock,
you
yeah,
are
nice.
correct with the Smeb on Poppy, and that's actually very surprising for me. I feel like, you know, seeing Smeb on something more like Jace would be much more expected, or even Trundle, because Korea does have that Rune and Mastery set up, an itemization with Trundle to actually go even with Gnar in lane.
Wait, I really wanted to see Jace's game.
Yeah, me too. Jace is just like a hype champion and an interesting thing to watch, but we'll see the Poppy here as well. In terms of laning phase, you're already quite touched on it. Darshan will have the advantage here. Are there any other nuances of the Poppy-Gnar matchup?
I actually think Gnar's laning early is pretty weak, so Poppy can like get the first 4 levels pretty well, and she just builds a resist and health, so like I guess that kind of stabilizes lane, but I don't know, like Gnar does percent max HP damage. Like I haven't really scrimmed it lately, so I haven't really seen this matchup, but like it makes sense that Gnar would have pressure like in the split push war, so I don't know, we'll have to see how it plays out. It's more up to like Smeb to run around the map and just do proactive stuff and try to gank lanes, I think.
Yeah, so it's not actually going to be more about that 1v1 matchup. It's more about like just farming up and just trying to affect the map later on. Do you think we'll see a lot of impact from the junglers? For example, like we'll just see people go up to try and assist Smeb, or will it just be like sit at tower, try and get as much as you can?
Yeah, I guess it depends on how the lane plays out. Like if the Gnar is perma-shoving and the Rek'Sai sees a good opportunity to gank him, it's possible, but at the same time, you can't really snowball a Poppy. Like,
Yeah.
she's not, like, if you get her ahead, she's probably just going to get tankier instead of, like, building a damage item and trying to, like, kill a backliner. So, yeah. I don't think Peanut will make too many visits unless it's, like, a
super
kill.
obvious. Yeah, free kill. Well, we're into game. CLG versus Rox here, and we are primarily focusing on Smeb. I would have liked, as you mentioned, for him to pick up something like Jace where he'd be a little more dynamic in lane. But it's going to be the Poppy, so we can see how he plays this one out.
Ooh.
And he's going to head down here. So why is Smeb going into the bottom side of the map?
Probably some cheese.
Yeah, they might try to do the Karma Brush cheese and you know, line it up so that they can smash either Caitlyn or Alistar directly into the terrain that they're likely to enter from, right where Karma is standing, right to the left of Gorilla.
Yeah, this could just be a research thing where they notice that CLG walks a certain way level 1 or something, but I guess they're not doing it this game.
Yep.
So now he's going to recall. Was that just because they didn't immediately see CLG in the bottom lane, so there's no point Smeb wasting his time and then burning a teleport?
Yes. I think that is probably what's happening. Maybe they expected CLG to try to wait inside of that brush, and maybe that's why Smeb was there, but I think it's really difficult to tell without knowing what kind of information these players have from scrims.
So Smeb going to start on the top side. Well, of course Smeb's going to start on the top side. Peanut's going to start on the top side, and Smeb's going to assist him here. Is there anything specific in terms of leashing? Do you just want to give like a certain amount of auto attacks to your jungler and then say screw it, I'm out, or?
Poppy in particular gets a shield like when she uses her buckler, so you can like actually tank a couple. Usually, like I like to tank a hit plus make the guy's head turn for my jungler, because you can like the monsters have a turning animation, so you can tank one hit and then tank half of a hit basically and have it like switch aggro between you, and that's like I guess the ideal leash because you don't really want to take too many hits, otherwise you could lose lane from it or start off at a disadvantage.
And then we saw Smeb, of course, take 2 auto attacks from the Crux, so he can use that with shield. And Prey is already dead. All right, the classic Aurelion Soul level 1 roam.
Yep.
What?
I don't even know how that happens. I don't know what is not being said by Kuro. That's a little bit weird.
It's like, yeah, my mid lane is AFK, and it's like, ah, yes, really.
All right.
I guess that's Flash Pulverize, Ignite, and Mid Ghost.
Yeah, definitely a little bit strange there, but...
And Gorilla's dead as well.
Okay, well...
A lot is happening on the bottom side of the map. We are here to talk top laners, but this will impact Smeb at some point in the game when a massive Hoo-Hee comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We saw Darshan hit that level 2 and look for a punish, but Smeb immediately went into the bush. How much do level 2 punishes matter? How much are you really counting the minions in this current meta game, Zig?
Yeah, it's just a normal thing to keep track of, I guess. You don't want to be too far up in the lane if the other guy's going to hit 2 before you, because then, yeah, you could just take a bad trade. And, I mean, his lane's already pulling right now, so he has no pressure to really do much. Like, the waves, like, the creeps are going to come to him, he's going to get all the farm, or at least all the XP, which is all that really matters. And
The issue right here for Smeb, though, is that there was a glacier occurring, which it's a wave that is built up too big that is forcefully going to go into your tower, no matter how you try to manipulate it. But Smeb able to crack it. And he's going to get all this CS anyway. Darshan's just shoving it in. And nothing much is really going to happen here. It's very unlikely that he would die to a gank. We see that Xsmithy is moving top lane, and that's probably just going to be to counter jungle the golems, unless Darshan can actually get Smeb low enough.
Talk to me about some of the ways that you can try and disrupt like a glacier happening, because obviously Smeb got pushed away there because if he trades into minions, he's dead. But he did manage to find a way back in, so how did Smeb do that?
Just AoEing the wave, but he ended up taking a lot of hit points to do it, so it's not the end of the world. He still does have a corrupting potion, and he is at 465 HP, so not vulnerable enough to a gank, and that's why we see Xsmithy moving back into the left side jungle.
Right, often having to trade health to try and get that maneuver off in the top lane. But a lot of this is just Smeb trying to buckler up, take a bit of auto attacks from Darshan, and just try and CS in between his own auto attacks. And that seems to be basically the laning phase from Poppy. Are there any windows in this 1v1 matchup where Poppy can become more aggressive?
I can't think of any personally. I mean, it's like unless the Gnar is standing by a wall, like that's about it. It's pretty easy for the Gnar to maintain space though, because you have like ranged farming abilities and ranged auto attack and melee. And yeah, I think Poppy's actually pretty hard to dive too. So even if he was kind of low, like the Poppy W prevents Nid from getting a lot of her damage off. It's just like a pretty stable tank for the Roxas team comp. Yeah, I don't really know why they chose a tank though, because it felt like, I guess maybe having 2 frontliners is pretty good for a ranged support or something.
Yeah,
Something's happening. I hear crowd cheers.
I do. I think something's happening down at the bottom lane. I think we can take a look since Smeb has just gone back to face.
And he
oh no,
TP'd.
he's down in the bottom lane.
Oh.
Yeah, Ephraim was dead. It's just a case of Prey picking up the kill there, and Smeb
gave
just
him an
kind of
assist.
corralling him into it. Yeah, getting the assist.
Now, the issue is yes, they do get the assist, and this is something that they need to do because bot lane was under a lot of pressure, but the assist gold is still worth less than the minion gold that Smeb would have had at the tower, and Darshan was able to, you know, collapse the wave into the turret. So Darshan has a level advantage right now in terms of experience. Well, not a level advantage, but experience advantage, and he has significantly more gold right now.
Yeah, and so the Nar's wave is actually bouncing and pulling towards him, and he has TP advantage, so...
And this was the teleport play. So you saw that Smeb just got the ping onto Aphromoo, and they wanted to give the kill over to Prey because Prey is the main focal point of the team. He is going to be the damage dealer the longer this goes on, him and Malzahar. So definitely anytime that you have the opportunity to allocate kills to him or Malzahar, then you want to do it.
Talk to me a little bit about the mechanics of actually TPing out of lane, because a lot of times people are like, oh, well, you just click an ability and you go down to bot lane, but Smeb obviously went behind his tower. There was some setup to that TP.
So I guess you have to think about if you're cancelable. Gnar has to be mega to cancel you out of your TP, but for the most part, it's like TP has a 4-second channel time, so it's pretty long. You ideally want to TP behind the enemies, like 4 seconds behind them. Like they'd run away for 4 seconds and you'd still be behind them, to guarantee that you actually get a flank and can do something, especially as like a melee tank champion. But yeah, it's usually just, you have to try a lot, I guess. Like it's still something that a lot of really good players screw up on regularly, but they're not afraid to fail, like, because the one TP that you make that's really good could win you the game. So
How much of that as well comes from your team in terms of like setting up a potential TP play? So will your team like actively place down a ward in a certain place, or are you just looking for like the minion wave to be in the right place, for example?
yeah, it depends on how much foresight there is to the play. Like if they're overcommitting for something bottom and like the jungler comes, but your jungler's there counter ganking and you're first to TP, sometimes you only have to TP to a minion. But if it's like you're setting up really far in advance, like these guys want to defend a tower 4v5, then your jungler can ward behind the tower for you and you just go all out brawl under the tower. So I think it's situation specific. But yeah, usually like it's the onus is on one of your teammates to place a ward like behind.
Ooh. Well, there's the opportunity of Darshan walking against a wall.
Yeah, that happened.
And
Not
CLG, a lot of chaos on the map. Oh! That was actually really, really important.
Yeah, the Aurelion Soul was making his way up there, so, and Gnar was transforming. It's a good poppy ult.
Yep. Definitely good by Smeb, and looks like the Rocks Tigers was able to just manage to, you know, not die to that stuff that you can see on the mini-map happening with CLG. Lots of activity. The problem is, though, is that Stixxay is amassing quite a CS advantage, but as long as it stays within about 20, it's going to be negated by the call.
And Darshan pushing in once again. I have just one last question on the TP topic. So when your opponent is TPing out of lane, what is the normal like play for the opposing top laner? Do you want to shove it into tower? Are you trying to build up a wave to try and push the tower?
You kind of have to judge it based on the situation again. Like if you can TP, well, yeah, if you don't have TP, then obviously you can't follow them. But if you do have TP, you have to like pan your minimap down, or like if you're on voice comms, ask your team. But usually it's like you pan the minimap down, judge the situation, if you can make a difference by TPing. If you can't, you want to make sure you crash your wave and then get a good buy-in. And then your wave should bounce to you if you crash the wave successfully, and you'll be in a better shape with TP advantage when you come back to lane.
A lot of chaos happening in the bottom lane. Smeb doesn't have his teleport up yet.
This is really Soul.
Oh,
It's just
man.
everywhere.
Yeah. Did Darshan get involved? No, he still got his TP as well, so neither top laners even got involved there.
But that's actually why Darshan backed up
Yeah.
in the event that he was going to be needed for something. So CLG probably going to pick up the First Blood Tower, which is pretty big, given that, you know, Stixxay is already so far ahead. And the issue also is that in top lane, there's such a CS discrepancy. Yes, Smeb has that one assist, but it's not really worth a lot given that it was a 2-man assist. So, you know, we're just seeing the gold counts right now. 400 gold deficit in the top lane, 700 in mid lane, 80 carry, 900, and the support 600. The jungle even 500 gold. So, you know, the Tigers, they do have a lot of scaling inside of their team comp, but this isn't a very good position for them right now.
They have come back from worse, though, right?
Absolutely. Yesterday, they came back.
Kings, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. This matchup doesn't get any easier for the Poppy, though, I'm pretty sure. Like, just Gnar does really well in split push once he gets his 2 core items, and it's really hard for most carries, let alone just a hard tank, to match. No matter how many resist items he gets, like, Gnar will still burn you for percent HP and lower your armor, so.
I can hear crowds, so I know something's happening. Yep, Space Dragon again.
He's everywhere.
Yep, the Aurelion Soul.
He's in his own lane. He's killing people. 2-0-0. He's pretty big. Man, 4-1 in this game. We're only 10 minutes into this one, and CLG have a 4K advantage from that tower and all the kills they've amassed. Darshan.
I like that.
That was
Smeb read it pretty well.
Yeah.
So.
But of course there's an Aurelion Soul here.
Ooh.
Oh, he did get
That
the
was
Gnar.
actually super well played.
Yeah, Smeb.
Because Darshan got his
He's got the
transform
moves.
like alt combo off, which is the most reliable way next to a flash to get off your ult, and you just managed to not get knocked into the wall and then get the Gnar under tower too. So they couldn't even dive him 2v1. It's really good.
Definitely a big trade, and now it looks like Darshan's going to be recalling. Both top laners have teleport right now. The problem is that Poppy is still down in levels, and that can actually matter when we're talking about level 11. Because Darshan even actually stays to pick up the wave.
I'm pretty sure Darshan's close to his Frozen Malachi too. Okay, he got a Sunfire.
Yeah, he must be pretty close, but we'll see that one more time. Darshan.
And so he gets the... Oh, he barely misses the wall.
Yeah. That was really close. That was like super close.
Yep.
But then he plays it perfectly. Like, he knocks the guy out, doesn't need the stun.
Yep.
So, some good Poppy play right there.
In that situation as a Poppy, what was Smeb's decision making? He wanted to get rid of the Gnar because he's the one going to be tanking, or like, what are you thinking about your ultimate usage there?
Well, I think if you're just in a 2v1 and you don't have your team around, you kind of want to use all your spells to make sure you live, and just the natural thing is like, there's 2 guys here, I'll pump one of them away, like type thing, I think. The more important thing was just he dodged the soul stun, and he's just tanky enough to live, I guess.
Yep.
Like, he didn't overcommit on the Gnar earlier.
One of the things is if he misses both of them, then Gnar can tank the turret, and then Soul can finish off the kill. So definitely he just wants to hit 1 or 2, or 2 would be ideal, but definitely just wants to knock one of them away.
Yeah, break one of the components of the machine, right? And then Smeb will start roaming down, but head back up. We're about 13 minutes into the game. Is there often times when the top laner will like roam away from lane outside of like a TP for like an objective like Rift Herald? Because we've seen very little priority actually on the Rift Herald this tournament.
Yeah, Rift is actually super hard to take because it just takes forever. So if the enemy team has like an inkling that you're doing it, they can just contest it. And usually, like, I've seen a lot of teams just straight up lose a game because they're like, let's do Rift. And then everyone shows up and they have to fight, but you're chunked because you were tanking Rift forever. So usually the only windows that top laners have to roam are like you push in the wave, then the enemy top laner's catching the wave, then you can just go into fog for a little bit, like explore.
Uh-oh. Lots of action incoming.
2 TPs.
Yeah, Smeb got the TP off very slightly earlier, but Darshan's closer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Man, he blocked the Afromu headbutt as well.
Oh, pray. And Smeb is going to be able to probably get Hui. Oh, no, maybe not. This is actually being fought really well by both parties, and... Oh.
That's the ult over the wall now, caught by Prey.
I think that was a pretty cute attempt. Honestly, though, I think he should have just tried to kill someone, because you can't ever escape from that situation. Maybe if mid-tier 1 turret's down, but even then I still think that Malzahar catches you. A replay of that fight would be fantastic, and I'm hoping that we get to see it here on stream, because Gorilla
it's coming
almost...
out.
Yeah, I know, I expect. But Gorilla lived with a slither of health, and Prey was actually able to get the heal off onto him, and that changes everything.
I want to follow just the entrance of both Smeb and Darshan, because I believe Smeb blocked the headbutt from Afro literally as he was coming in.
What was that heal? Oh, the heal was from the W. I thought it was from Prey's heal.
Oh, Mantra W, yeah.
Yeah, Mantra W. So then Peanut's able to get here. Stixxay doesn't have any mana, Not that it was going to matter too much. And the teleport angles from both teams, I think, was actually really good. Smeb coming in from the bottom, that way, there's no way for CLG to really escape from this, and then they're trapped. So assuming that they can kite properly, then they're always going to take this fight.
Smeb there trying to aim his ultimate at the damage dealer there as well. Just tell me a little bit about what your decision making is. Let's take it from Smeb's angle. So he's coming in from right behind. What's your first objective? Is it just jump on the carry, try and find a wallbang?
Yeah, if you find someone close to a wall, ideally locking them up is good. He opened with Flash G on Nidalee, and she just got neutralized pretty much instantly. I think she probably had Flash up during the fight too, but they chained it into Amal's ult too, so it was there's no chance for her living. And then, yeah, if the fight's going on for a bit longer, then you try to punt out somebody important that might be a damage threat. I don't know, the bot lane actually kited out the fight really well, so they made a lot of space for him to, he pretty much had free reign of what he wanted to do in the fight, because everyone else was burning their summoners offensively, trying to kill Prey and Gorilla. So yeah, I think just coming from a flank as Poppy, you try to punt someone in the wall, and then get your Q down on them, get your buckler on them, and just be a distraction, I guess.
Oh, and speaking of top laners, Darshan, the Prey Seeker. Oh man, that's not very good. So Darshan's going to go down there, and this is all that the Tigers actually need to do. Anytime that you're behind, if you keep trading kills, especially with the scaling team composition, or if you just pick up kills, gradually over time, it's going to be really good for you. So Darshan dying there is really, really bad.
Smeb, he's trying to get involved in the fight, but it's already happening. Charging up the ultimate, but he's lost 2 people, misses the ultimate as well. He's just going to try and be annoying here, I guess.
Yeah, and CLG is actually going to take the top tier 2 tower, so this is actually a really, really nice pickup, because generally top tier 2 towers are considered luxury turrets. Oh, and Smeb might die too.
Smeb getting caught out. Oh, the trap was on top of him. He's still being chased down by the Soul. Man, who he is going off this game. 7-0-0. 9 and 5 in total. 7 of those total 9 kills on him. This is what, nearly a 7k advantage at 17 minutes. CLG over Rocks. This is mental. I know before the game we were joking about it. You saying, yeah, CLG's gonna win the game here, but they actually are just demolishing Roxig.
Yeah, they're doing what's counter logic. I mean, they can't beat Albus, but they can beat these guys. So it's looking good for them. I mean, it's really hard, I think, to actually throw a lead from this big, but if you could throw it against anyone, it would probably be the Rocks Tigers, because they're really clean at team fighting, and that's really, if you stall out a game to 40, 50 minutes, gold's about even. Or, well, okay, a 6k gold lead at 40 to 50 minutes is much less significant than at 17 minutes, so assuming they can scrape their way through the game and not lose too many more advantages, they still have a chance, realistically, and they've come back from worse, so I don't know, it just seems like CLG's in the driver's seat, and they're actually making a lot of proactive plays, because there's just so many kills already.
Yeah. Do you think any of this is from a draft, or is it more about execution? Because of course Smeb's on, primarily a tank pick here versus a Jace, which is going to dominate lane.
I think it's just good preparation. I don't know how they got that level 1 kill, but that probably kind of set things in motion. Just early and slow killing someone level 1, and then yeah, the AD carry couldn't lane level 1, so he misses out on a bunch of XP already, and it's besides the mental factor,
Yeah, and one of the things I do want to mention about the draft is, this is 2 times in a row now Smeb has been on a more supportive top laner, and I don't know why they're doing that when there is more aggressive and duelist type top laners that exist, and it's a little interesting to see. Not that anything he's been doing this game has necessarily been one of the reasons the game is turning out this way. I think that's actually more so because of the mid matchup, but what can you do? Well, yeah. I can tell you what you could do is Rocks Tiger had counter pick mid, so had they picked Aurelion Soul, Kuro could have gone Twisted Fate, and that would have been actually really good for them.
There's also a lot of ways that Smeb has been able to directly positively impact the game. I mean, that's the other thing from picking the Poppy here. However, I do have a question from Twitter from that jerk. Med says, top TP obviously has a lot of value in pro play, but do you think there are cases where top Ignite is better?
Yeah, if you want to kill the other guy, I mean, Ignite's better. Ignite does damage, Teleport doesn't. But usually in competitive play, it's really hard to punish somebody with Ignite, because you can just use Teleport to stabilize lane. If you buy Corrupting first, and then you're careful enough to not be within 170 HP of dying or whatever, like however much damage Ignite does. You just spend that TP for lane, and then the other, like assuming you traded all your pots down with the other guy's screwed because he doesn't have a way to, cover that 30 seconds of walking for free. Well, not for free, but for a cooldown. And
Yeah.
it's just like, better players will be able to abuse the teleport to win lane.
Yep.
If we were to
Yeah.
ever see Ignite again in the top lane, what would the reason be? Because we used to see it like a little bit, but then for the last couple of seasons, it's just primarily been TP.
Like maybe I could see it on like a Shen because he has TP or something. Like champions that already have an innate TP in their kit, or really heavy snowballing champions like Pantheon or Quinn. Those are pretty much the only ones I actually see in solo queue that take it as well. Besides the other cheesers that play like other physical carriers or something. But yeah, like generally competitive it's better, but solo queue you can pretty much get away with whatever you want as long as you're just like trying to snowball a game. Do your best to win and everything. So.
What about Teleport, Ignite, Fizz, and FLICKR?
Those things actually work. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually take Ignite with Teleport, but usually not in place of Teleport. And only if your champion has a lot of mobility in their kit already.
Oh, Smeb waiting the bush. He got the pounce block as well. Kuro the flash ultimate. Smithy, well, he actually gets it out as well, but Smeb charging up the ultimate doesn't land on Aframu. This is very messy. Smeb, Darshan didn't even land the ultimate on him as well.
Swept the floor.
Swept the floor. Doing a bit of spring cleaning.
I did like that death push, though. It was a good attempt. They burned the Nilly flash, I guess.
Peanut caught as well.
That's just the Nard 2 item. So annoying.
He almost escaped, but Hui ended up burning that flash to secure it. And right now, CLG is in the driver's seat with a huge advantage. And they have a team comp to drive it home, too.
Yeah, they have good hard engage. They have good sieging with Caitlyn and Nilly. It's like a pretty well-rounded comp, and they have good split push, so it actually looks really grim for the Tigers right now.
What's frustrating about the 2 item there from Darshan, as you commented on, Zig?
It's like the cleaver gives you move speed.
Uh-oh. Well,
That's explosive.
we'll get that to a second because Rox is just getting annihilated. Darshan just isn't dying. Smeb's still alive, but there's just nothing he can do. His team is dead.
He just doesn't do enough damage on his own to like carry the fight, but that's not.
Oh, Peanut's back.
All right, time to get big with the Bracy because
Yeah, this is a very scary situation. Smeb has Teleport too. There is so much shutdown gold on these champions for CLG.
Are they going to go for the long chase? No, I think Peanut just went for farm.
That was really weird by Prey. He actually, I think, arcane shifted into the fight. He
Really?
pulled like a wild turtle Corky maneuver.
And then he's got flash headbutt balls
Yeah.
or something. Like,
Yeah, that was really strange.
Yeah, because it looks like he died with flash up, so. But maybe he just came up too. I don't know.
yeah, we'll catch that in a second most likely as we get the replay. But
Oh, Darshan doesn't even have the 2 items. But yeah, like, once you have Cleaver and Mallet, it's really hard to lose a split, like just a 1v1 versus people, because you get bonus move speed from the Cleaver. In this case, it's just a phage, so the move speed's a little weaker. But you also slow them, and then you have spammable slow with Q. Cooldown reduction is also pretty good on Nara because it lowers the cool Q, range Q,
Yep.
and all your melee form cooldowns as well. It's just like a really obnoxious champion to play against in long lane, because as long as the player is like clicking his buttons enough, he can kind of kite you out of his range.
so we talked about Smeb a little in terms of like, I'll hit that in a second because we have the team fight there and I want to actually see what happened.
So
Yeah,
Gorilla took a huge hit, and then I mean, Prey went down instantly.
Yeah,
you know,
but
while
Kurt died.
the fight started. And Kuro's Malefic Visions did not reset, and I think that's what Smeb wanted to have happen. And then Peanut's tunnel choice was actually poor. Had he gone up on the tunnel to the north of that, I think you actually would be able to pick up some kills with Smeb and Gorilla reinforcing.
Yeah, there were like 2 10% HP guys. If he went to the left, I think Smeb had a good angle where they could have actually pinched him out, but just it's a split-second thing, I guess. It's hard to gauge in the moment.
Seems in general, Smeb is not necessarily doing anything like bad at all in this game. Like he seems to be playing it fairly well, but he's not going off. He's like on a tank champion. Was there anything in this game that he could have done better? Was there any other opportunity he could have found? But or is it just like team?
I like how he's doing the death bush thing again. Sorry, but yeah, like I think he's just being a role player right now.
Yeah.
It just seemed like the game kind of collapsed from the bottom side of the map. Like, a lot of it was off camera for us, but the Aurelion Soul was really just like making a lot of proactive stuff happen. from literally level 1. Like,
Yeah.
something crazy must have happened. So yeah, I think, yeah, composition-wise, I mean, if they wanted a Poppy, that's what they got. But like, really, he can't do any damage to anybody at this point. Like, he's never going to win the split push war.
Yeah.
Because he's building full tank, and the Gnar just does % base HP.
So now that we have the luxury of hindsight, would you have picked anything else in the top lane, like a Jace or something like a carry pick? Would that have been able to impact the map if who he was going off regardless?
I think it's actually even worse for him, because if Soul is the first one to move top, then like it's worse to be behind on a carry than behind on a tank, and it's also harder to outplay like a 2v1 as Jace compared with Poppy, because like Poppy builds resist. But I think Smeb mostly did his job this game, and it's just like yeah, like I would have preferred to see him play Jace because it's more fun, but
Both of these wards that Smeb actually just placed are, they may just seem like normal wards, but they're not. Those are Baron related wards, because if CLG goes for Baron and Rox dissuades them moving upwards into the top of the river, then that is a flank teleport on the pink. And then also the ward placed above the brush is also a flank teleport ward on the Baron. So 2 really nice wards by Smeb.
he placed his own flank wards. Usually you get your team to do it for you, but you know, you're Smeb, the best player in the world, of course. Just do it yourself.
This is exactly where I want to TP, and the only person who can put it down is me. We have a bit of downtime here, so I'm going to put another Twitter question up here. So the Slowbro says, how important is lane management in the top lane? It seems like it's the most punishing lane. Is that true?
Yeah. Long lane, generally, like in a lot of cases, you can just be left by yourself, so it's up to you to make sure if your wave's pushing or pulling, and if you need your jungle's help. Like in competitive, the communication between a jungler and a top lane is really important. Yeah, and so usually it's, yeah, you just have to look at the waves. Like if you have a cannon wave crashing in, it's freezable by the enemies. Like if your cannon wave crashes on like where Smeb is right now, and it's like a blue cannon wave's coming in, then he can freeze that lane permanently. But like if you have a cannon wave pushing out like this, your wave's gonna slow push no matter what, so you have to push out like all the way. And yeah, like ideally, you just like every time you leave your lane, you want your wave to bounce to tower, basically, because then you're guaranteeing that you'll have farm to pick up later, because the wave will always bounce to you, and that's pretty much the main thing you have to look for. And then like yeah, like if you're in a vulnerable position, like you have no summoner, or you're against certain champions that can set up ganks really well, like Elise or something, then you have to be careful of like how far up the lane you're playing and stuff like that too. So. Yeah, but it looks like just Smeb has to match this Gnar, and all he can really do is clear the wave and chill, because he can't really fight him with the Gnar's items.
Yeah, that's the most depressing thing for me here, because it's Smeb, but like he can't do anything. He's just getting pushed around by Gnar all day. Because he's just, yeah, he is basically just a brick wall that eventually will probably be taken down by Darshan.
Yep.
Poppy's actually not as bad as I thought, or maybe it's the player too. Like maybe Smeb's playing it really well. It's just, it seems like the Gnar actually is getting like kind of stabilized here. Like the Poppy can just clear the wave and play back, and
Or just charge at him if it was Smeb.
Yeah, that
He's
shield
actually
is
chunking him, yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. I think he does this because CLG is going aggressive in mid, and Smeb is determining that Darshan is more important to CLG than Smeb is to Rox. And so he's saying, you're staying here with me.
Yeah, I think Poppy actually gets pretty tanky. Whoa, 2 pinks. But Poppy gets a lot tankier than I expected in that matchup. Like, even with the armor shred and everything, her shield just seemed pretty big, like the buckler shield.
Yeah,
and
surprised
Smeb,
how little
we're going to see some action.
damage was doing. He's coming in, so alright, what's Smeb looking for here?
Well, Smeb is just looking to get anyone, and he got Stixay.
The value ultimate.
That's a perfect team fight. Knock away a main damage threat, and then knock towards, or bring another main damage threat towards your team.
And one of the issues is that CLG could have seen this coming. They could have thought, well, hold on, Darshan might go down. Oh.
Smithy's jumping in, but X-Smithy will get out.
Oh.
Smeb. Oh, Prey just went
Darshan.
down.
Yeah.
Traded with Stixay there, though.
Dies to house.
Yeah.
But still a pretty positive trade for Rox Tigers. They did manage to get Stixay down. However, he does end up picking up a Quicksilver Sash now. So we're going to see that. And when you see this teleport coming in, CLG could see this, and they could have all just ran to the left. And if that happens, Darshan actually gets bottom turret, because there's no way for the Tigers to respond to that. But because he's able to get in here and there is no Darshan, they're able to just delete Stixay right at the beginning of the fight. But they don't have a way yet to really get onto Hui, and that was the problem. And Smeb actually makes...
with him.
Yeah, Smeb makes a mistake right there, and Prey tries to go in, but ends up not really doing too much, and then he gets caught out by Hui.
Wait, Nidbear and QSS there, right? Like, she actually got hit into the wall. Okay.
So
that was a really
that
good
was
team
nice
fight
team
from both
fighting.
sides. Yeah, like both those, all the team, everyone flashed at the appropriate time pretty much, and dodged whatever skill they could.
Next team fight, CLG will have summoner advantage, so this is getting pretty scary right now, and 9k gold lead right now for CLG.
High level League of Legends, boys, but from here on out, as you mentioned, summoners felt advantage to CLG. Smeb has no summoners, and now he can do significantly less. Will he still try and find a flank? He can't obviously be as dynamic and make an instant decision now with TP.
Yeah, he's got to wait another couple minutes before he has TP again, but I think Poppy's, like, her ideal position in teamfight is as a flanker, like getting on someone somehow. I mean, they all have QSS right now, so it's like, I think their best way of dealing with the Brilliant Soul is actually just Poppy punting them or her out of the fight, if possible. And if that doesn't work out, the Soul just seems like it'll go to town on everybody.
I actually don't know the gender of Erlin, so I'm gonna assume it's he? Question mark?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure someone out there is gonna be like, no, it's like this.
Genderless.
But I don't think it's a Rek'Sai thing. Smeb was looking for a flank. He's still in this bush. They don't know he's here, right? He
The
just
Soul literally has like 4 health items, though. It's like...
And Banshees as well, so you can't just eat him instantly. But maybe if Prey pops the Banshees.
It's Death Wish.
Here's the way he has to come
What?
back in. Okay, yeah, Huhi's gonna instantly
So
DP
that's why
Prey.
he's playing
That's,
like that.
yeah, that's fine. And Smeb has to defensively use the ultimate. Doesn't land on Darshan. Oh man, now we get to see Smeb very slowly die.
Yeah, this is not good, and the turret's going down in the meanwhile. That's going to be Baron, unless Peanut, one more time, can steal Baron from a Western team. This is all on Peanut. You see Aphromoo positioning at the very back. Peanut needs a way in, but if Aphromoo times it so that when Peanut tries to go in, he knocks him away, then it's a complete denial.
He's just going to do it anyway. Aphromoo, he gets out of the ultimate with his own ultimate. Peanut has to run away. Baron's down to CLG. Absolutely disastrous. But at this stage in the game, you just have to make a play like that, right? You have to try and find that death bush, try and cheese them somewhere, and just pick up a kill.
Yep. And Aurelion Soul pretty big, and Stixay's going to get that kill. Oh, okay, well. Darshan takes it, and that's going to probably mean Guardian Angel also for Darshan next fight. So the itemization for CLG is fantastic right now. Oh, Prey missed that. I don't... Why does he keep...
He didn't just... That's a maniac move right there.
All right, talk to me about mentality here. If you're Smeb and you see your ADC jump in and die, what are you thinking, Zig?
Well, he already committed to the long flank. I mean, they're like committing to creative plays, I guess, to try to make a window for themselves back into the game. But yeah, like, I don't know. There's not much you can do as full tank Poppy there. You just kind of... It's like if he hit the Narway, maybe he'd live a little longer. But yeah, he's just in a hard position. Like his damage dealer, the guy that he's like frontlining for, just killed himself right in front of him. So
Game is not over yet. And also, I need to point out that CLG RNG'd some pretty bad dragons this game, and that is definitely working to Rox's favor as the game goes on, although the next one will be Elder Dragon and everyone after that. But the game doesn't look like it's going to end in the foreseeable future unless CLG finds a miracle team fight. But next time, you look at the summoners for Rox Tigers, all of them have their summoners up. So it can get pretty dangerous.
I feel like CLG could be making more use of split push, especially now that they have Baron buff too.
All right, Smeb, you're gonna have to cheese it. Oh, tagged by the javelin. Yeah, well, Smeb was super far pushed up there. Was that a good, bad thing to do?
Yeah, I think it's just an oversight. Yeah, he's just too far up in the lane. I guess Soul also closes on people especially well, just because the ability to go for train and stuff. But it wasn't just Soul; it was literally like the entire team was there. It's just
That's super unfortunate. Smeb being down as well. How much does that impact CLG now? Are they able to just... Yeah, they are just going to push right into the base.
Probably at least, yeah, this inhib. They might be able to get an... I don't know, their waves don't look too good. Oh, they're going for more, though.
Oh, they're going for more, yep. We might say that this is the time.
It's just doing so much damage. Yeah, that's disgusting. And CLG slowly chunking down his towers. 15 seconds on Smeb, so they may hold.
Yep, they did get one.
Yeah.
Oh, Peanut ate a spear. Oh,
no,
no.
Walked in the trap. Oh.
Okay.
I was feeling a little bit there. In terms of priority, if you were looking to pick someone up, is Smeb pretty high up there because he's the front line, or would you prefer to like pick someone else there if you're CLG?
Well, I think anybody but the support and you get free stuff pretty much. Yeah, it's just harder to fight a 4v5 when you're 15 play goal behind anyways. I mean, the support's like, I guess, the least valuable, but even picking off the support, you could probably get a in-him tower still.
One of the things that I don't like right now by CLG is you know that they're all pooling thousands of gold apiece. So Rox just came fresh off of the fountain, so even though they have a 15,000 gold lead, it might only actually be 7 or 8k for the team fight.
Well, it's only 8k at this stage in the game, which
Here comes the Poppy Clink.
Could be it. Oh, lands onto 2. This could be good. And on who he's but he's still not dead.
He went down.
Did get him.
Trey went down.
Smeb's trying to kite back. He's pretty tanky.
Yeah, but this might be it. CLG might actually have it. Peanut is pretty tanky.
Smeb goes back to base. Yeah,
that's going to be it.
Boys. Man, was that pretty much like the ideal team fight for Rox in that situation? Like, Smeb lands the 2-man ultimate, they pin Huhi against the wall, and it's still not enough. Was there anything else that he could have done there?
Just get a Trinity Force and kill the Gnar.
Just sell all your items, like, I'm going damage, let's go.
Bring Ignite, you know? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's the time you bring. Like, you're playing Poppy, you're playing against COG, bring the Ignite, try and kill your laner.
It needs more foresight, like knowing that the Aurelion Soul is somehow going to kill its Ezreal level 1. And that's when he should have been like, I'm taking Ignite this game. Screw my bot lane.
But real talk, in terms of how Smeb played this game, he played pretty well, right? Like, there couldn't have been much else that he could have done.
He was pretty clean, like normal Smeb play, I think. It's just, I think CLG had Rox's number, and they perform better when no one thinks they have a chance. So, counter logic.
Yeah.
Counter logic. Who he went in.
Yeah, so, I mean, CLG played really, really well, and the roams from Hui were really fantastic. And that was the 4v5 that I was talking about that Rox were playing early on, and I think that Darshan did pretty well. Smeb, I don't honestly know what more he could have done with the exception of that death that led to the pre-endgame push, the one that got the inhibitor on the Nexus turret. And that's just why I don't want to see him on these type of champions. And Rox has been drafting, not even just Rox, all the Korean teams except for SK Telecom have been drafting this way, and it's just really, really weird to see because it is a little bit riskier, but with the higher payoff. But you just don't expect to see that out of them.
Yeah, that's the sad thing for me, because we made specifically a Smeb stream, and then he goes tank top lane, and then that happens in game as well. It's just like, of all the games we could have had, and then we got that. But do you think there's a likely chance that seeing this game now, Rox would be like, you know what, we should probably just put Smeb on a carry from now on? Or do you think the team needs him to be a role player and go for that tank?
I mean, I guess it depends on like the results that they had in scrims and stuff, but I just thought it was weird. Like, they counterpicked the Gnar with a Poppy. And then, like, everyone's, like, heralding this guy as, like, the best player in the world and everything. And he, like, performs really well on carry champions and team fighting. And they just put him on Poppy. Like, this is, like, Mouse was, like, having a really, like, bad past couple days or whatever. And, like, he's, like, the designated Poppy player of his team, right? Because, like, he's, like, underperforming or whatever. He's, like, not doing that well. But, like, you have Smeb, who's, like, he has a highlight reel cannon play. And they're like, yeah, you just take Poppy. So, I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to see him on counter-picky stuff or, like, carrier, like heavy high damage style champions, because it's more fun to watch, and I think he is clean enough to make it work too. So
exactly, and he still even gave Mouse Irelia today, so he was like underperforming and he still gave him the pick. So it's like, come on, just give Smeb a carry pick. LSU was surprised by the Poppy as well. You just weren't expecting him to play that pick?
I know Korea generally frowns upon Poppy in recent patches, especially because there's just so many other champions that exist right now. So yeah, I was really surprised by it, and I was also even more surprised by the Malzahar blind pick, because that's generally also frowned upon in Korea. So if you know that Hui does have Aurelion Sol in his arsenal, why are you picking Malzahar #1? And #2, why don't you just save Twisted Fate for the Aurelion Sol?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, message to everyone who's playing Rocks, don't ban out Smeb. I want to watch him play carry champions. But either way, going up next on the Player Experience stream, FLICKR Maple will be squaring off in the middle lane, so Alex Ich will be joining us to break it down. However, first we're going to go and pass it back to the mainstream for an interview with CLG's Huhi, and we'll see you back here in a few minutes.
Because of the Albus Nox defeat, like we were pretty I'll say, can I say tilted? Like we were pretty tilted, so we worked mentally really hard. I'll say we got a lot from that loss. So everyone mentality was like we are not going to get loose. We're going to concentrate until the game ends. So that's why we were on point on what we wanted to do that game.
Did it help that G2 lost to Albus Nox Luna moments before?
I feel pretty bad for G2. They're a really good team, but whenever they go for international tournament, they are nervous or something. So I feel like they are not performing that well. But I do think Albus Nox is really strong team. So I don't think we lost yesterday's game because we played bad. I just think they played really well. So yeah, I just think they're a really good team.
I think we all have to agree. And that makes this group super interesting. So let me take it back a couple of months. MSI, CLG, not too much to be expected, rocking the NA jerseys, take down SKT tournament favorites, make it all the way to the final, blow everyone's minds. You take down Rocks here. What can we expect from CLG?
I don't know. We expected us being strong in our group stage. So we did expect this thing. And we were saying that the world stage right now is similar to group stage, MSI, because at MSI we also lost to the international team, but we got second place. So we were going to lose the international team so that we can beat the Rocks Tigers, that non-defeated.
All planned for CLG. Thank you so much, Huhi. Give it up one more time. CLG beating out Rocks Endless Desk. Take it away.
Thank you, Shocks. Some fantastic insights there from Huhi about how the team recovered to get this victory against the Rocks Tigers. Before we dive into it, I've got to welcome Jake Spawn Tiberi to the desk. So welcome. I'm glad you subbed in for that game. That's the game to sub in for, right?
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, CLG, another huge upset in a group stage of an international tournament. And one more time, Huhi just silencing haters everywhere with an outstanding performance.
And I'm looking at this draft phase as well. The Aurelion Sol and the Gnar at the very end really sealed this composition away, and they didn't actually have 2 out of 3 winning lanes until they had that level 1 roam early in the game. It sealed everything together, and Huhi did spectacularly.
It just shows why Aurelion Sol is such a power pick for CLG. It's been banned in their region, and every time that he gets to pull it out, they always go with this ridiculously unexpected play. Who does a level 1 roam to the bottom lane at that? And most importantly, Caitlyn actually started traps to combo out with the Alistar.
And this is what we talk about with Aurelion Sol. He kills the first wave so quickly, you have all the options. And normally you expect someone to go and take half of a jungle camp, but he walks all the way down to the bottom lane before Aframu goes for the flash pulverize. And Prey doesn't even bother using his summoner spells because that would just make him more vulnerable to a future gank.
Yeah, and the consistent damage that came out of the Aurelion Sol just means that, there's no way you can get out of that. He has such good mobility roaming down. But this is a composition that I think a lot of people will look at the surface and be like, the roams. But the sieging potential, it reminded me a lot of, Veigar Caitlyn, because you cannot engage onto the Aurelion Sol because of the ultimate, because of the orbs. And the fact that Rocks have still not picked a winning half of the map is somewhat upsetting me, because one more time they put Smeb into a bad matchup. There is absolutely no way mid lane gets any priority at that stage. That was a very strange draft out of Rocks.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, they only had 1 game of Aurelion Sol themselves in the entire split, even playoffs. And the previous game we were talking about, maybe you just ban things that you're not going to play yourself, ban out the comfort picks out of the other team. And you know that CLG is going to play Aurelion Sol. It's an incredibly powerful pick. And just giving it away like that, I find that a little bit disrespectful.
Yeah, and it's been such a crazy group, obviously, now. We have Albus Nox, Luna, Rocks Tigers, and CLG sitting at 2-1. But I think the bigger question is, what's going on with Rox's early game?
Yep.
The first 13 minutes against Albus Nox, they were behind. They were down 5,000 gold against G2, 7,000 gold against CLG. These are gargantuan gold deficits at 20 minutes that you do not expect out of a team as good as Rox.
And, you know, if you pull apart this draft, you have a look at it, and Rox is very much putting the microscope on bottom lane because they pick range support, they ban away Nami, they take Ezreal, which is definitely Prey's best carry. So they're looking for an advantage in that lane. But the fact that they're only looking at it through one lane and they don't have anywhere else on the map to assist that duo means that you can lane as good as you want. You're still going to have to push up. You're still going to leave yourself open to these ganks.
And it's a change of the play style because before we had seen them play to the top side of the map. You know that Peanut and Smeb team up together and like to invade and create pressure a lot. But even seeing that Poppy pick as the final, a little bit surprising. I would have liked to see Smeb on the really hard carry, and obviously CLG with the preparation banning, the Rumble and the Cannon. But there are more carries in the top side, and we've been used to seeing Prey play a more utility role within the team, and seeing all the attention to the bottom side just maybe speaks to uncomfortable for Rox in the sense of playing towards the bottom side.
Now, one of the easiest player of the game decisions we've probably ever made is going to go to Huhi on that Aurelion Sol. I mean, the pick itself, the way he played it, Shock said it on stage. Probably not going to see him on that champion again for the remainder of the tournament just based on this single performance.
And, you know, the way that the rest of the CLG members facilitate it, they play around him. They don't engage until he's actually there. I think that this team plays around any member incredibly well, and it was great to see Huhi get on a carry that he likes and play exceptionally well.
And this is one of CLG's biggest strengths. Huhi slumped so much during the regular season. And we've seen this time and time again in esports. When a player slumps, he's off the team. But CLG kept faith in Huhi, kept telling him he was playing well, and then he brings out the MVP performances like we saw here today.
Now, Jack, you mentioned we've got 3 teams tied at 2-1 in this group. Group A, this group, is the first group that will be done playing the entire group stage. They play on Thursday. Let's talk a little bit about what we expect next week or what we hope to see out of any of these teams as they have just a little bit of time to go back to the drawing board.
And this is why Aaron to find a group with like an upsetting team like Albus Nox as the actual group of death, because none of these teams would have gone into this and been like, what the heck, we're going to drop 2 games against Albus Nox. And that's a real possibility now going into next week for someone like CLG, like G2, who have been so up and down. Reality, you just can't pick who's going to make it out of this group anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to try. I mean, it's always fun to try and predict things. I think Albus Nox Luna has been spectacular with the 2-1, but based on the overall strength of CLG, they look like they played the best this week, and I think Rox Tigers will adapt better in the week in between, so I still have it. Well, now I have it with Rox 1 CLG 2, whereas my pick'em had G2 at number 2, and I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
I personally actually think that Albus Nox might be able to make it out of here, but the inconsistency from CLG is something that I find hard to get by. They just keep playing it at your heart by having a really poor performance and then all of a sudden being able to have such a monster game. And it seems that it's so dependent on the picks that they actually get to have. And if a team can figure out what they're trying to do and if they can expand their champion pool in the next couple of days, I think that they'll be able to have a really good shot.
Yeah, but so talk to me about this, because we just mentioned, okay, Aurelion Sol might not get picked up, but that's not the whole aspect of this champion select, right? They still had the Nidalee with the Caitlyn. When you talk about the turret sieging, the playmaking potential on Aframo, who, by the way, played phenomenally in this game as well. If it weren't for Huhi, I mean, we would have been looking at him probably for player of the game. So how would you attack this CLG draft? How do you attack this CLG squad going into next week?
You look at this one in particular, I think you do take away the Aurelion Sol, and maybe you take away the Caitlyn. It's in a super simplistic sense, if you take all the prep out of it, what have they most succeeded with, and what are the linchpins to those compositions? They succeeded with Caitlyn Nami in game 1 against G2, and they succeeded with the Aurelion Sol and the Caitlyn here. So I think those are 2 big bans.
Yeah, I think the other option is you just go hard at the solo laners. I mean, you get Smeb on a better matchup and you take away the Aurelion Sol, and you just say, you know what, you can snowboard bottom lane as much as you want. We still have Peanut running around with Smeb on the top side of the map, and, you know, we're going to be able to take it to you there. And I also think that, you know, Smurf showed today that if you get him a favorable matchup against a good top laner, he's still going to be able to go to town. So I think that the solo lanes are still a big question for me about CLG. I think that their jungler, fantastic. Their duo lane is also very, very good. But I still have big questions about Huhi not on ASOL as well as Darshan.
And I think that historically CLG has been the team that almost always plays to the bottom side. They really just put all that effort towards getting the bottom lane ahead. Obviously in this game, Huhi was able to step up, but he was just roaming around the map constantly. And if you can find a way to just prevent that and expect that bottom lane movement and actually not fall prey to it, and at the same time punish the other aspects of the map, it should be a really difficult spot for CLG to find anything in the map.
Let's go ahead and talk about this group a little bit more since we have the time. You mentioned Smurf being able to play in a couple of different matchups. We saw him play the Trundle into Poppy yesterday, Poppy into the Trundle today. I mean, he is now making a name for himself. When I look at that Albus Nox roster, you know, initially we're looking at Kira in the mid lane being, you know, one of the big carries. Well, all of a sudden, that roster seems to be expanding, and I'm not able to pinpoint just one single player that I need to attack.
Yeah, I would agree with that Albus Nox Luna team, but the main thing to me about Albus Nox has been Lacrit's ability to surprise people and just play different than everyone else is practicing against. As far as the overall picture of how could the wildcard team succeed, they're not in the same practice environment that everyone else has been in. We're very much turning into this global game and global meta, but Albus Nox is apart from that. And that, I think, gives them a slight edge coming in here.
Do you have a small point you want to throw in there?
Yeah,
Spot?
I was just going to echo that as well, and it's the picks that they do it with, not necessarily a play style that just catch you completely off guard.
All right, well, Group A just got all that much more interesting, so stay right here because when we return, SKT and the Flash Wolves are up next as Worlds 2016 continues.
Citing Aurelion Sol as well, back enabled today. Huhi on his trademark. This is the champion that threw off RNG.
Peanut actually goes right by it, but Huhi level
right
one
down.
roam.
Prey gets hit. Yes, it is the roam. 6A's out of mana and Peanut over the wall. Flash knock up onto him. The rest of the team is closing in. New challengers approach from the top side, and that's going to be the Prey Seeker.
Okay, see us? I'm eating over.
Coming. Watch us. Hands up, flash. Ulted. Nice. Holy fucking shit, Jay. Good shit.
This is zero hesitation, CLG. Under the turret could be a little scary for him, and it's going to be 1-2 down.
천천히. 나 한번 들어갈게. Here's your test, Papa.
Very thanky.
Level 15, 902 absolutely blows up Prey.
Holy crap.
Dookie, Afro, and Darshan. A huge Gnar ultimate against the wall. Prey now with 6A 1v1 as he tries to get out of the fight. The rest of CLG coming together as well here to pick up another victory at Worlds to go 2-1 in the first week.
Dare to be different. Revel in the impossible. Introducing a little anarchy. Disrupting the natural order. Because a hero lies in all of us. Nothing is beyond your reach. Claim your victory and go forth to conquer new worlds.